I can tell that you cannot hear me because it muted itself and it wasn't me. So hopefully you can now see and hear me. Give me a 5p5. Someone's just told me. So it was on mute. It wasn't me. I did take it off. Let's see if you can hear me now. Hey up, me ducks. 5p5 coming through. 5p5. Hopefully it don't mute itself again and it won't go pear-shaped. People are now coming through saying 5p5 that you can see and hear me. Don't forget, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Crucially important. We want to get this particular channel on Rumble well in excess of 10,000 subscribers in the next few months. And also, don't forget to share, because without sharing, the more you share this, and especially, I'm going to show you a couple of things tonight. First of all, just to make sure, and I've got either a bad back or hip. I'm not sure whether it is, but we're trying it. Basically, gluten intolerance. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And next time I have Dr. Glidden on, I'll be talking to him about it because I think that's quite a serious thing. So, majorly, you might be wondering where I am. Looks like I'm on a train, doesn't it? I am in the most adorable camper van. Actually, it's a motorhome. It's not a camper van. It is fairly big. Not gonna. It's almost brand new. And sadly, the people are not going to donate it to me. But it is the absolute. I am so impressed with this thing. So I'm staying in the week on Wednesday. I'm doing an interview with a channel on YouTube and other platforms. They've got in excess of 300,000 subscribers. There's another one I'm going to be doing. I think it's got 90,000 subscribers. And really, so the reason I'm here at the moment, so I'm not back in Devon yet. And then on the 28th of this month, we are going up to Cumbria, and it is really important that people promote that. And I'm hoping to be showing you some of that as we speak. But to let you know, I was travelling Thursday, so I couldn't go live. And then we got up to Great Yarmouth on Friday. Crucially important, I went to the Britannia Pier in Great Yarmouth, and there was 4 of us, all members of the English Constitution Party, at the event at Great Yarmouth Pier. I can tell you now, it was absolutely freezing because they hadn't got any heating on anyway. But let's not dwell on the negative, because I understand that the people who owned the pier was told like that weren't acceptable. I can tell you that the place held about 1,300 people, and I would estimate there was at least, for the launch of Restore Britain political party, where Rupert Lowe spoke and a number of other individuals spoke, there was at least 1,000 people there. All right, it was good. We're in effect, we're very similar thinkers. So, and again, I'm going to get back to another element to this. The next day was a protest at St George's Park in Great Yarmouth, which I also attended with Laura and Jason, 2 members, and myself and Janet. we was there, right? I videoed it, and it's the video before this. If you want to go and see Rupert speaking and others speaking there, right? But one of the biggest issues that they've got, especially in Great Yarmouth and also Norfolk at the moment, is that the the councillors are they've basically said they're not going to hold council elections, right? They've almost become a permanent bureaucracy and dictatorship of the local area. I met many of them locals in Great Yarmouth. The people that we spoke to there, and we was talking to different people, they're just like us, right? So what's really important about this? They never had anyone talking about the English Constitution. If I had gone on that stage or platform, I'm talking at the protest really. I don't expect to be asked to come up on stage in the Britannia pier event, because that was about them and what they've done. I do want to say to people, there seems to be too many of these groups and too many of these people are relying too heavily on this, on British solicitors, British lawyers, British, what they describe as British law. And Rupert had said it on a number of occasions. There is no such thing as British law. There never has been. If you was to ask any someone who understood the construction of the jurisdictions, they will tell you there is English and Welsh law, because we're a common law jurisdiction, that Wales is a principality that was brought into England in effect by a Welsh king, a Welsh king of England, who brought Wales in 1536 as a principality, right? And it's a common law jurisdiction. Scotland is a separate jurisdiction. The law books tell you that. Everyone tells you that. And also that the UK is not a country. It is a unitary state. That's what it's described as. And it explicitly says it is not a country. So it's really important that people understand that when these councils and others are literally suspending elections, that is unconstitutional and unlawful. And if you've got the right people or the right person writing up the case to present it in the Royal Courts of Justice in London, or anywhere else for that matter, probably nearer to Leeds, because it will suffice the same, a High Court judge, if put to him the proper way, constitutional law, the English Bill of Rights, 1688, the Coronation Oath Act, what it said, what constitutes our constitution is put to a High Court judge. Article 8 of the English Bill of Rights categorically states freedom of election. And it doesn't matter whether it is a parliamentary election or a council election, because of the makeup of England. We have counties and shires. We also have district councils and parishes. That is the construct of an English county or shire, right? For anyone to say that you don't have to have elections, right? To elect officials, I'm talking about. It is fundamentally unconstitutional. It is bureaucratic tyranny, and the law of the land stops them from doing it. But you've got to get the right people that are presenting the law, and it can be explained to a judge. And a judge, if you show them the law, they would agree with you that it is unconstitutional. You cannot do that. Now, there are other elements to this, not majorly. I'm not going to say too much about it, but I was at that event, and I thought it was fantastic. At reasonably short notice to say that they were actually going to make a major announcement, and then they launched Restore Britain political party. Just to let you all know, and it's up to you. I'm not telling you what to do. I joined the political party, and just to make sure that everyone is aware of this, the reason I joined is because I haven't got an issue with Restore Britain, right? There's various things that I've got issues with. Reform UK, everyone should understand what them issues are. I've got issues with Advance, and simply being because Ben Habib is a British Pakistani. He describes himself as a British Pakistani. His father was a Pakistani. He spent some of his life in Pakistan as a child, right? And the English Constitution, the Acts of Settlement of 1701, stated, for you to be in any position of power, basically, I'm paraphrasing, you have to be born of English parents. That is parents plural. And part of the reason for that was that people who are not English were taking advantage of our electoral system, of our monetary system, of our trading systems, and also started to negate the rights of an Englishman. So the Acts of Settlement of 1701, and by the way, they were stopping the white Dutch from doing that because they had started putting people in positions of power and authority and taking the money out of England and infringing on some of our rights, etc. That's why they did it. So it wasn't colour based. It was actually cultural based. And they said you can't do that. And they created the law, the Acts of Settlement in 1701, that specifically put protections in for the English, the Scots, the Irish, and the Welsh to stop people infringing on our rights and our liberties, etc. It was a British Nationality Act 1948, 3 years after we lost the Second World War, because we did lose, right? We had two lots of enemies, the fascists in essence, and the communists. The communists, in effect, won the Second World War. We was infiltrated as a nation. There had already been the slow march through the institutions and the slow erosion of our rights and liberties, that the universities being the top mark because everything comes from education, right? And they had started to do things well before the Second World War. In fact, well before the First World War. In fact, going just before the Boer War, where things really started to progress, right? In terms of what they was doing to us and the laws that they was putting in place and interfering with our constitutional rights. So once people understand it, and it is simple, right? Anyone who's gone back through the old law books will see exactly what they've done and know exactly how to put it all right almost instantly. So if you was to abolish the British Nationality Act 1948 and the British Nationality Act 1981, if you was to go back to an English passport, a Scottish passport, a Welsh passport, and a Northern Irish passport, right, as distinct nations, because that's what we are in law, you will see people like Sadiq Khan would be instantly kicked out of office because constitutionally he should never have been there. And the way to do that is to void the British Nationality Act. That means it has never been law. It has never been good law. and therefore he could never have been allowed to be elected as the Mayor of London. There are other elements to what we're going to be talking about, but this is about restore Britain as an island. You should all know what I know, right? And that is that Britain is an island. It's a bit like I think it's called Hispaniola, an island which is home to two nations in the Caribbean. One is the Dominion Republic, and the other one is Haiti. They share an island. There is only one other place on earth, I believe, that does the same thing, and that is Great Britain. Great Britain was called Great Britain because England, Scotland, and Wales share that island, right? England, by far, is the greatest populace. It is their economy currently that supports socialism in Wales, socialism in Scotland, and the Northern Irish are more English than the English. There is a difference between a loyalist, which means for King Billy and a Bill of Rights and the protection of the Protestant nations, right? And unionists. Unionists are a minority. 2011 census told you that, right? In fact, it said that there is 19% of the population of England are British, and that equates to 11 million people. Half of them are foreigners, right? At least half. And then there was 32.4 million English-only national identity, which equated to 57%. And there was another small group of people, another 10%, that made it up to 67% in total, who were English-British, right? They're the ones who were just confused. But that's a lot of people. So people like Rupert Lowe and others should understand. And again, it's not me personally who's describing him like this, but Ben Habib is who self-describes as a British Pakistani, right? He is not English. He is not of the English. Both his parents were not English. He has no right under English constitutional law to be putting himself up as the Prime Minister of anywhere, and certainly not as a Member of Parliament. And a lot of our problems would be solved if we returned to the Constitution as originally enacted, the Bill of Rights as originally enacted, because it was never allowed to be changed. People are not told that. And the reason why they don't take notice of people like me, who is self-educated in the English Constitution, that have read the old law books, that read the old laws as they were in real books. In other words, when I say real books, I mean the original old English books that tell you exactly what the law is and what the faults were of our ancestors. There is no confusion. What I tell you is the truth of the Constitution. So let's get back to restore Britain. I've got no issue with restoring Britain, because what it actually means is we will restore England. This is the way I see it, and the English Constitution. Most of your problems would be solved very quickly with restoring the Constitution to what it should be, right? And the same goes for Scotland, because it has its own constitution. Ireland has its own constitution. Northern Ireland most definitely has a constitution that it shares with England, right? And once everyone understands that, everyone out there will understand what it is that's being suggested by Rupert Lowe. Rupert Lowe is the only person I've ever actually heard stand up and say, we are going to deport all of the illegals, and we are going to deport any migrant that legally came here that is currently using as an abode social housing, that is currently claiming benefits, or does not speak English, or is using the National Health Service, or is using any of our other services that are designed and for the English, the Scots, the Welsh, or the Irish, he will deport all of them. No qualms whatsoever. And he actually says, no apologies. If you are claiming benefits in this country, you are no good to this country. If you can't speak English, you are no good to this country. If you are taking social housing off of an Englishman, a Scotsman, a Welshman, or an Irishman, you're gone. We built those houses for our own people, not for external foreigners, right? They need to leave. Rupert Lowe has said, I am not apologising for that. I've got no issues with any of that whatsoever. I absolutely agree, right? You have seen, and restoring, and I want to say this to everyone listening, right? Listen carefully to what I'm saying. Restore Britain must mean restore Middlesex. To restore Middlesex, you must remove the regions of the European Union. Name one region of the European Union. London. It has an assembly. London is a region of the European Union, and I'm going to get back to the voting in a couple of seconds. Scotland does not have a parliament. Devolution was all about regionalisation and carrying out the EU plan. It was called the Five Presidents' Plan. It is exactly the same as the plan they presented 30 years ago, and they are today implementing that plan. That includes monetary union, regionalisation, defence union, every type of union you can think of. And what we're all saying is no. The English Bill of Rights has a supremacy clause. And that supremacy clause means no one rules the English but the English. And that includes no foreigners as members of Parliament. We're not interested. And crucially, people need to understand that the reason why they are attempting to abandon elections in Norfolk, this is just one county, it comes under the East region, and they know that the people will vote against the regionalisation, right? So basically, it's all part of the regionalisation plan. England is being regionalised into 9 regions. London is already successfully regionalised. It is now 36% white. The rest of the population are foreign. Whether they be black, brown, pink, yellow, green, it doesn't matter. They're foreign. And when they talk about levelling up, what they actually mean is that the other 8 regions, and that includes absorbing Norfolk, because what they do is they remove the counties and shires, and then they bring them in together into a region, and you've got 9 regions, and then you've got administrative law, because they impose administrative law and remove the common law and the Constitution of England. They've already done that and succeeded with Scotland. The Scottish people just have never been told. And by the way, it was the Scottish members of Parliament, it was the Scottish politicians that have lied, right? Have lied to the Scottish people. Scotland had 7 police constabularies. They have all been removed. You now have the regional Scottish police. Scotland is a regional state, or a region of the EU with a single police constabulary. The same has happened with Northern Ireland, and the same thing is about to happen to Wales. Right now, I heard someone that was Richie Taylor, I believe his name is. He was part of Advance UK. He resigned from Advanced UK and walked away from them. But I did actually hear him say that we don't want to be a region of England, right? Again, the indoctrination of people to think like a Brit who are a minority, right? And Wales is not a region of England. It is a principality, and it was a Welsh king that did that, not an English king or Welsh king in 1536. I want Wales to be completely independent. It's the only way of removing socialism, because the people will soon realise the English are not paying for this anymore. We've got nothing. We've got nothing coming in. We've got no industries. We've got absolutely jack shit, right? And you'll soon see the change in attitude, because there's plenty of good Welsh patriots that understand exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not the one telling lies to them. Your politicians have lied to you. Your synod, or whatever you want to describe it as, right, is a region of the European Union. Once you're completely independent, you make the decision. And I can tell you, the EU is not going to last much longer. But even if it did, they don't want you. They also do not want Scotland. They also do not want Ireland, right? And they certainly don't want Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland can be the greatest nation on earth, right? It can be as good, or if not better, than Hong Kong. There's no such thing. All this nonsense about you're too small to survive in the world. Any form of real nationalism, not unionism, right? Nationalism is the antithesis to globalization. The absolute reverse of what the globalists want is pure nationalism. That means we have a brotherhood. Go back to being a brotherhood. If it was me, I'd void the acts of union completely, right? But there are compromises, and I haven't got a problem with giving all my knowledge and talking to restore Britain. And again, the more of you that join Restore Britain and assist us with saying, why don't you talk to the English constitutionalists, right? We largely support everything that you're doing. We support what you're saying. We would love to have you elected tomorrow, but you need to listen to the English. We are by far the largest company. Now, I did a check on Rupert Lowe at Companies House. Anyone knows anything about registering a company, there's a little drop down box. It says nationality, and then it says British, English, Scottish, Welsh, Northern Irish. Rupert Lowe is one of the only people, apart from myself, that ticked the box and said English, right? Even Robin Tilbrook of the English Democrats Limited, right, has put himself on the documentation as British, right? So if you really want to have a look about how someone feels about themselves, right, go and have a look at the drop-down box, and you will see from that drop-down box that Rupert Lowe considers himself to be English. I have looked at a number. Let me just reposition myself slightly. I've looked at many of his tweets, and if you go onto his tweets and say Rupert Lowe English, type in English on Twitter, he has sent out many tweets saying that he is an Englishman, right? He talks about the British. That is partly indoctrination, because the British have been doing it a long time. I've told everyone before, the USSR, when it was taken down in 1991, it returned to being Russian, Belarus, Poland, etc. They all went back to being their nationhoods and their nation states, right? Their own nationalities, their own sovereign nations. And the people went back to being, instead of Soviet, They went back to being Russian. Crucially important today, if you go out there, right, you will find 20% of the population for 70 years that were indoctrinated to believe that they were Soviets still call themselves Soviets, right? It is no different here. The British Nationality Act only came about in 1948, right? That's the only time British as a nationality was ever implemented. And then again, it was further implemented in 1981 by Margaret Thatcher, right? When you understand that when you remove them, we go back to being English, Scottish, Welsh, and Irish, you should have your own passports, and there are extreme limitations on who you would give an English passport to, right? At a minimum, you need to be at a minimum, you need to have both parents and both sets of grandparents need to be English, right? Now, I want you to understand this because, again, it is pretty crucial for everyone to understand. Nationality and ethnicity, ethno-nats, right? I am not an ethno-nationalist, right? If someone is black or brown and they and their parents and their parents and their parents before them have been in England for 4 generations, let's say, right? And they are culturally English, I accept they are of English culture, but they are not, and I want to make sure I'm clear of this, they are not ethnically English. To be ethnically English, you must be white. I describe myself as a WASP, white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant, right? Best type of Englishman ever born, right? And I'm not just saying that because it's me. I'm telling you now. If you look anywhere in the world, it is the Protestants have always been successful, right? Far more successful than Roman Catholics. So again, there's lots of things that we've got to do, and I'm hoping people agree. We need to, if you can agree with a group of people, 70, 80%, right? Numerous people are backing them in America, right? Numerous people are backing them here. They're 1,000 times in front of reform, 1,000,000 times in front of advance. Did anyone see Richard Inman, the guy that freaked out and started saying that he'd that Rupert Lowe had adopted the ethno-nationalist stance on this? I want to make sure I'm clear on this, right? I will listen to ethno-nationalists. I believe they have a point. An ethno-nationalist, there is nothing wrong with ethno-nationalism, right? They are protecting their race and their culture. I haven't got an issue with that, right? I will point out I'm not a civic nationalist. I never have been. That's all bullshit. The British Union is the ultimate in civic nationalism, right? It's artificial. It's wrong in its operation. It was wrong in the USSR. It's wrong for the British. It's wrong for the European Union, right? It needs to stop. If you went over and spoke to a German and said, "Are you European or are you German?" he would say, "I'm German," or she, right? You say the same thing over here, right? Are you English or British? To an Englishman, they should always reply, "I am English," because British is the same as being a European, right? So again, I'm going to express this to everyone who's watching. Why is it that Liberia, an African nation, has a constitution that states you cannot be a Liberian or have any position of authority in the state of Liberia. You cannot be a citizen of Liberia. Listen to my words. Unless you are a Negro. That is Ifo nationalism. So if a nation in Africa can do that, the English Constitution doesn't say that. It mentions religion, doesn't mention race. I'm a constitutionalist. I want people to understand there is another Ifo nationalist state. It's called Israel. They will allow Jews from all over the world that have never even been to Israel, that tens and thousands of the Jewish people that have never been and their parents have never been, if they've never been part of the Levant in the Middle East, can go there tomorrow, declare that they are Jewish or have Jewish ancestry, and they are Israeli, right? Where they spit on Christians, where they rob the lands of Christians in the Levant. And yet, the English are not allowed to have their own nation, right? So I believe, and I believe from within Restore Britain, we can say to them, why can't England have its own referendum whether it leaves the Union? Just England, right? Or just Scotland, or just Wales, or just Northern Ireland. But they are independent referendums, right? And if any one of those nations decides to leave, then the union is gone because the decision has been made. Now, all I'm asking is you put the question to the English. Why shouldn't you ask the English? Why not? You asked the Scots 3 times. The Welsh have had 2 national referendums. The Northern Irish have had 2 national referendums. Scotland's had 3 national referendums, and I'm not just talking about referendums on independence. I'm talking about national only they can vote on it. How many national referendums has England had? None. The English have never been asked. And I would say to Rupert Lowe and Restore Britain, don't be a coward. Don't be cowardly, right? If you really do believe that the people of England should have a say in their governance and the way that England is being run, that we never voted and we never asked for mass immigration, and I agree with all of that, right? Then ask the people whether they believe in English independence. Ask the people, just say to the people, we will allow for an English independence vote. I'm not suggesting at the next election, but you will say, if we are elected, we will allow an English independence vote. I'll tell you, you will get a 90% to 95% turnout in England. Go and have a look at independence referendums. They're always in the late 80s to early 90s. People turn out. So I'm not suggesting. I believe in self-determination as a nation. I believe that the antithesis to globalization is English independence. We can bring back our own industries, our steel industry, our smelting industries, including aluminium. We can bring back car manufacturing. We can bring back all of our industries and give people the dignity of work, right? It just takes courage to do it. I know lots of hard-working people want to get stuck in, deregulate. Most of the things that Restore talks about, I absolutely, passionately believe in. I believe in a free market economy. And that also means that the people have the right to choose whether they are part of a stinking, rotten, deep state political union or a national country that will fight for itself and that will provide for itself, that will turn all these foreigners back to where they come from. It's not a difficult thing to understand. Make England great again, I agree, and make Wales great again. I think that's all we've got to do. So just making sure that you understand this. Prior to this video, the one before this was basically them talking in the park. I could have stood up there without notes, without reading from a speech. I could have got up, and that crowd would have been absolutely rocking, because I would have said, "This is what you've got to do." The problem I've got with are all these fucking idiots that go to university, right, given a bit of paper. I much prefer self-education and being educated from the right books, the right manuals, and going back hundreds of years, so you know exactly what you're talking about and you can pitch that. All these people talking about Muslims, they're called Mohammedans, right? They're not grooming gangs, they're rape and torture gangs. People are being manipulated by the state to even their words that they use. Stop doing it, right? When you don't refer to Muslims, refer to Mohammedans, because that's what they are. That's what our ancestors called them, right? And that's exactly what you should be doing. Not sure how many people are out there watching, but again, I do want to I've joined Restore Britain, because to me, Restore Britain means Restore England. It means restore Scotland, restore Wales, and restore Northern Ireland. Crucially, restore Middlesex. Let's remove the regionalisation, what they call devolution, right? And then there's a next phase to that. Next phase to that is to say, now let's ask the people, because we never want this happening again. When we take back control, we want to take back control permanently, and this will never happen again to England. Let me have a quick look. Any other questions from anyone? I'm going to be looking at my chat as I speak. Middlesex man, you out there? We want to go on a mass campaign towards Restore Britain and say we want Middlesex back, right? It's crucial to England, and they had no right to take the identities of them people away. Middlesex is their home. What right have the British got to steal that from an Englishman? Our ancestors called the Saracens. Let me have a look. Woohoo! As some born in historic Middlesex, I couldn't agree more. There you go. But the only people who's going to be pushing this line of fault, this line of restore forward, is going to be us. Right? We're a massive group of people, really. We've achieved so much, right? And we've got to keep pushing forward on it. I will not, and you all know, I never supported Advance UK. Ben Habib never spoke of England. Then the other day, I see a quick video where he was calling himself an Englishman. He would not speak of England, right? Now, all of a sudden, you've got Tommy Robinson showing the English flag and the Scottish flag and the Welsh flag and the Northern Irish flag. And then he's talking about the nations. Really? Let me tell you something. There's more of us than there ever will be of them. And if the Isle of Man can be independent and not in the EU, I think you all know what I'm talking about there. Middlesex man, we are campaigning to add South Middlesex to the West Surrey Unitary Council. Come on, son. Holly England. Who else is out there? Let me have a quick look. Let me just get in. This camper van is not camper. Sorry, motorhome. It is right. I don't want to belittle it. It is an absolute tool. I've got to tell you something. Let me have a look. Made in England, made in Wales, made in Scotland, made in Ireland. Sounds great to me. Exactly. Who switched Tommy's script? Well, it's a bit strange, that one, isn't it? What's that one? What's he gonna? No. So I've just been shown a little message there. I'm not. So we had a successful mission in Great Yarmouth. I can't say so. I don't want to say too much. But we are talking to people. Let me have a look. Jack Bow. The only thing Rupert didn't talk about was free speech. Let me have a look at here. Merlin. Let's have a look. Anyone else coming out with anything? Cockney Girl. It's Merlin, New York, mate. Don't forget, I'm coming up to Cumbria on the 28th of February. We're going to be in Barrow Furnace, I think it is. Right. And I've got to try and move about with this a little bit. 3 heads of reform of vermin. What's that? 3 heads of reform of vermin. Yeah. Do you get to speak to Rupert? I'll have another discussion about that another day. It was worth the trip. Apart from the fact that I think I found out that I'm gluten intolerant. Barrow in fluffiness. That's it. That'll do me. Was the Munich Security Conference over the weekend? Macro Rubio's speech was outstanding. Send me a link to it because I haven't seen that. You got a van at last. Lovely, jubbly. No. This isn't mine. I'm just in it for a couple of nights because it's quite local to where this interview I'm having is on Wednesday, right? So rather than me drive all the way back up from Devon, I'm staying in this motorhome, which isn't mine. It belongs to someone else. It's almost brand spanking new. What's the word I would use to describe it? It's the dog's bollocks. Right. And that's it. I'm just sleeping in it, really, and using the facilities. Need a change to your diet then, DD? I've got to tell you something. I do need to change my diet. And one of the things that I didn't realise, and we think it is gluten related. There's a whole thing what was going on, right? But it was really positive. That Guinness, if you're gluten intolerant, is basically really bad for you, and it was making me ill, and I didn't realise. So there you go. You can drink cider, by the way, and I think there's one lager you can drink. I don't drink lager. I think it's called Peroni. Not sure, right? But cider is completely gluten free, so you can drink cider. You can drink wine, but you cannot have any form of ale that is made from barley, rye, or anything like that. You can't have it, all right? And it inflames certain joints. And there were parts over the weekend where I couldn't walk properly on my hip. That's how bad it was. Cockney Girl, let me have a look. I didn't realise how bad it is. Real ale is the best. Monks drink it. Something weird's gone on. Are Restore looking to get candidates in these local elections this year, DD? I believe they are. BAM 7 and restore getting candidates in these elections, DD, Slimming, Middlesex man. All I'm saying to everyone, if you're a member of the English Constitution Party, I mean, so we've got the English Constitution Society. If you become a member of Restore Britain and you're a member of the English Constitution Society, you can then say, why don't you get Grant to come along and talk to you about the Constitution in England and your constitutional rights, our English Bill of Rights, and the fact that it's all still there, it just needs enforcing. And we can push it forward that way, right? Just to make sure Peroni is okay. Yeah, no, you can use Peroni. You can drink. I think it's Peroni that doesn't have, or it's filtered in some way that it takes out proteins of gluten. Let me have a look. Oh well, some people just don't listen. Lots of that happening. Houston Pills, there's no wheat. Okay, thanks for that, Anton Goonham. Not that I'm that, but I mean, I haven't had a drink for weeks. Well, not weeks, about a week, I think. But I've sort of sussed that out that may not have been doing me any good. I called into Paul Thorpe's show the other week and told him about the English Constitution. Who's this? Britain thing. Told him about the Acts of Settlement and said Ben Habib can't be in Double Tap. Well done at White Boar 1483. That's what we need. We need us working together and putting this information out there. Linda Frost, Rupert doesn't think it is written because he's been indoctrinated to think that. That's why we need, when I do the seminars and show people the books and show people the banners and say, well, if that's not in writing, what is? Lady Jane Rigby, I'm the only unvaxxed in my family, but some took the first one. Middlesex man, yeah, stay away from the jab. And, of course, Rupert Lowe never took the jab. Watch out for some of the processed ciders. The ingredients are not good. I agree with you there. That's what it says. Always look at the ingredients. This is why I don't type my phone a lot, because my sausage fingers. You're not allowed to eat Cumbrian sausages either. They got gluten in them. I was like, oh, what? I had to take stuff off my plate as well. We went to a restaurant and we think he's gluten intolerant. I went, all right. It took me fucking sausages off my plate to all. I was like, what? Some people was laughing at me. I wasn't laughing. I was nearly in tears. Right, White Ball. Paul said he would have nothing to do with a constitution that would stop someone like Ben getting into power. Unbelievable. The guy just didn't get it. No, he does get it. He's a fucking traitor. That's the problem with the British, right? So Paul Thorpe is an absolute fucking wrong 'un, the same as Richard Inman. You've got to remember, they are the minority, not us, right? In fact, I would say probably the real Scots have probably got more real Scots in Scotland than there is British in the whole of the UK, right? Because that's who they are. Whiskey. Let me have a look. A lot of chippies do gluten-free, do they? Do they? Chippies do gluten-free. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
What, you're telling me there's a lot of carpenters out there that do gluten-free? Oh, sorry, you mean chippies. Yeah. And you got to watch the gravy and all, haven't you? You can't have certain gravies. Some say a lot of the gluten intolerance is related to GMO industry. Yeah, I know. And I've started to think there is a lot in that. Fish and chips. No, I know what you was talking about. I was taking the mick. That's why Inman got so aggressive. He knows his drift is up. Richard Sudbury, exactly that. And can't remember who it was. Was it Jada Franson sent a thing out on Twitter and said, "What's this? It is known that Richard in Northern Ireland, that Richard Inman is a state asset." Right? Remember what I just said. Richard Inman is a state asset. Let me have a quick look. Go to mum. You can buy gravy granules, chuck money. I can confirm that Evo stick glue is gluten free. Eat as much as you want. Chuck money. Thank you for that. Wilnut. That has glucose syrup, doesn't it? You thinker. Never trusted him. No. So hopefully, Trump's Board of Peace created 26th of January 2026. Convention Parliament first meets 22nd January 1689. Oh, look at that one. London Underground. Very good. Snake Year. So Trump's Board of Peace and the launch date of Restore Britain now match two other key dates. Hang on a minute. Yeah, that is very good. I see what you mean. Not sure if you know, all veg oil was all originally made for machines. Then the war happened, so not much animal fat, so they used that. What a sticky situation. Know what that means. By the way, people, hit the like button, crucially important. Hit the share button and subscribe. Subscribing is really important. And majorly have a look at the previous video and make sure you can get to that. Let me say, I don't know what that one is. All right, I've already done that once. Right, so I'm going to see if I've got anything else up on here. I do want to show you this. This is really important because we need to keep sharing this out there. And then I'm going to get back to some other bits and pieces. Let me show you this. Don't forget, English Constitutional and Common Law Seminar, the Soccer Bar, Wilkie Road, Barrow in Furness, Cumbria, LA14 5UQ, right? Don't forget to try and get there. Again, I will always believe in self-determination. I believe it is for the people to decide whether they're in a union with the deep state, nobody else, right? The people need to decide that. So I'll just drop that one out. There's a lot of things, and I'm hoping if there's anyone in the Manchester area, Denton, the by-election there, go and vote for Nick Buckley. You never know. He might even transfer his loyalty over to Rupert. Restore Britain. His loyalty technically is to the constituents. I'll just see a quaint little video. That's quite funny. Let me have a quick look. Oh, look, election cancellations lifted. Starmer's regime forced to abandon plans to cancel elections in 30 local council elections areas in England on the 7th of May 2026. This is some rare good news for the democracy. And for some reason, we've got David Curtin showing the English flag behind him. Let me have a quick look. The British establishment realised that vast swathes of British public aren't just angry about what has been done to the country, they are apoplectic. The riots last year showed how much the country is on edge. I agree. Let me have a quick look and see if I can find some things here. Let's have a look and see if there's some more stuff. I wonder if that is. I'm not sure if this is the one I want to show you. I don't want to put that on there. This geezer is an absolute wrong one. Let me have a look and see if I can find something for you. I probably can't find it, but let me try and find anyone got the link to Restore England? There it is. Do me a favour if you're watching this and you're on, because I'm going to show you this now on the screen as we speak. Let me have a look. Give me a follow, because this is my Restore England Twitter that I've just put out to you. Right? Restore England Twitter. Come and follow me at that Twitter handle. So I've still got English Exit, but I'm putting that out as well. And what I'm going to do now is show you it on the screen, or show you my. Let me see if I can put this up there. Restore England, right? There it is on the. So you've got Restore England. You've got the English flag, Restore England, English flag, verified account, right? You've got, because Rupert Lowe is talking about this is a Christian nation, right? So you got the Christian cross up there. You got Restore England. You've got the logo, but we're showing England there. Avoids Wales, avoids Scotland and Northern Ireland. Listen, I've got no problem with Scotland, no problem with Wales, and no problem with Northern Ireland. And in fact, the Northern Irish are more English than the English as it currently stands. We need to move away from unionism and go back. And Northern Ireland, in my opinion, would still be a protectorate of England. But there you go. Let me just make sure we've put it on there. So what you're seeing is that on your screen. And hopefully you'll see that on your screen as well. Touch wood, you can all see that. Let's see if I can bring that up on your screen. And there it is. The Constitution is the solution. And you've got the English Constitution Society. So what should happen is people, they won't bitch about the Constitution. All we're doing is teaching people. So far, I've got 333 followers, all the threes. I'm following 33 people. I wonder if that's lucky. And what I actually say is Restore Britain, comma, I agree with. In essence, Restore England. Let me just make sure you can all see this. So you know, listen, I will never, 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 never surrender England. In essence, Restore England, Restore Scotland, Restore Wales, Restore Northern Ireland. The rule of law needs to be restored. That means the constitution of our individual nations. And once that's done, we'll start getting us back, right? So again, I've just gone out there live. That was me earlier. There's some different people talking out there at the moment. I'm just going to see if I can show you one other thing. Oh, by the way, I am trying, and I'll do that tonight, to upload the Mablethorpe thing. So I'm going to bring that up. Right, so I'm going to bring this up, right? The English Constitution Society supports Restore Britain, Restore England, Restore Shires and counties, including Middlesex. This is crucially important that people understand this. I don't want anyone to believe in any way or form. My views haven't changed, but Restore Britain means restore the nations. And again, I'm just going to make sure everyone can see this. I'm going to bring it up. This was the Mablethorpe. Hopefully you can see it on the screen. Either hit the button and you can listen to it. Here we go. So officially we start at 2:00. But what I will say before we even start is to the people who are here, The reason why that flag has got hashtag muted is because when we go out and do these seminars, we are cancelled. It's a cancel culture. All we talk about is the English Constitution, which is basically part of it is on the stage at the moment. So the Magna Carta, etc. Crown and Parliament, Recognition Act, Coronation Oath Act. In the middle, I will be going through our rights and then tell you certain bits. But the most important ones for us today are the English Bill of Rights and the Acts of Settlement. And once I go through it and explain it to you, you should have all been taught this in school a long, long, long time ago for most of us, right? I was never taught it. So just to make sure, I am not university educated, and whilst I've got no personal grievance against anyone who's been to university, they are indoctrinated to think for the state. Certainly our legal professionals, I don't consider to be legal professionals. And the reason I don't consider them to be legal professionals is because they are bullshitters. Now, in other words, they've been indoctrinated. Here's another one. You should all know this person. He's one of my favourite judges. He's now dead, but an American judge. Anthony Scalia, right? Important segment starting at 25:39, right? I'm going to put this. I want you to listen to what he says. And especially about, if you go and watch the original video, he talks of England.
Diversity alone is what makes a great nation. I mean, diversity alone makes some of the tribal societies of the world that never quite make it, such as some of the places in the Middle East where we're trying to establish nationhood. As I said earlier, it's part of our tradition that everybody can be an American, but there has been a common culture. Yeah, you don't have to belong to it, but there has been that. And
what is it? What is it? What is it?
Okay, you want to know what it is? Number one. Okay.
Is there a bond? Is there a common culture?
I think. Let me tell you a story. My junior year of college, I studied in Switzerland, and I used to get really annoyed when the French-Swiss professors I had would refer constantly to les pays anglo-saxons, the Anglo-Saxon countries, meaning England, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, okay, Canada. I said, hey, my name is Scalia, and I'm as American as anybody. Look at this face. Is this an Anglo-Saxon face? I had never been in England, but at the end of my year, I went to England, and I felt at home. There is no doubt that American culture, American common culture, which nobody has to belong to, originates with English culture. And that includes Shakespeare, it includes nursery rhymes that we all know and that we use as examples. That's our common culture. And I think the framers recognized that. Diversity is fine, but diversity does not make a nation. Diversity alone.
So I'm going to go back to this and see what anyone says. I'm going to have to go. I think I'm going to be coming off of this now and closing down the show. I'll be on live tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. I'll be live on Wednesday night. I might be popping over to Edmonton, not sure yet, on Thursday to see if I can get some osteopathic work done. I think Sonia Poulton will be in Epstein files connected to I don't know what that means. Right, I am off. Good night, God bless. Don't forget, everyone, I'll never surrender England, right? We've got to push every way we can to get England recognised. Everyone in the world is recognising England except the British, right? That tells you something. Just to make sure you all get it. That's it. Good night. God bless. Au revoir. tiddly poo, and I will see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Don't forget what I believe in. The Constitution is the solution.